All right. So for anyone watching my stream on the Cyber Life channel, we're going live in just a little bit. Gerry and I both have started our streams. Hopefully, everyone can hear me. If not, you can hear all the audio over on the ThreatGen YouTube channel. But looking forward to this matchup, Gerry and I. So who would have thought it, right? But we're gonna be going live here soon enough. I know Clint and them will do some commentary and stuff like that, but then we'll get playing. Just for those that don't know, I'm going to be doing red team today, and Gerry is going to be the blue team. And Clinton and the team over at ThreatGen have thrown in all sorts of goodies apparently in this version of the game that we'll be playing. So we'll see what happens. See if there's any cool things we can unlock inside the game. Probably about like 5 or 10 minutes or so before we get officially started on the game itself. But feel free to throw any thoughts, etc., in the chat, and we'll get going. All right, for anyone listening, we are just going through some of the pregame stuff, getting all the configurations, whatnot set up here. Clinton, Simon will be rolling here pretty soon, and then once they give us a go ahead, and Gerry and I will jump in today. So for those that don't know, Gerry is going to be playing the blue team today. I am playing red, and there's been some change to the games to keep things a little spicy. So we'll see what those changes entail once we get playing on things. So we'll see how it goes. And either way, we're definitely, both of us are going to just have a good time and just really just have some fun. It's Friday after all, right? Let's have some fun. If you want to hear the entire game commentary, go over to the ThreatGen YouTube channel. You'll be able to hear Clint and Simon as they go through and give the commentary as Gerry and I play. So feel free to check it out over there. It's usually pretty entertaining. Usually if Gerry or I or anyone else in this tournament does a move that they don't necessarily agree with, there'll be some spicy comments usually going on with that. So definitely check that out over on the ThreatGen YouTube channel. And we should be getting started in probably about 5 minutes or so here on the actual game itself. All right, for those listening, just kind of a rehash of what I was saying earlier. We're just doing some checks on the back end of the game itself and just getting all the technical stuff to hopefully avoid any issues during gameplay. But we will be getting started pretty shortly here with the game. Clint and Simon will be doing some commentary over on the ThreatGen YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. You can also, of course, check the replay out, and we'll get going soon. Just working through a few last minute things, it looks like. All right, looks like we have had a minor hiccup, everyone, but we are good to go, looks like. So it should be going pretty soon here. All right, we're just doing a refresh for those watching. And then I think we will be getting going very shortly here because it looks like we had that issue cleared up. All right, here we go, everybody. We're going to get going here momentarily and place your bets. So we'll see what happens here. So for those watching my stream, I'm just queuing up some of the actions that I want to do. So let me just share that to the commentators so they see what I'm doing there. And then we'll go ahead and get that going. So you will notice that unlike the other games in this tournament, this one's been expanded a little bit. So we've been playing 50 rounds. Now we've got 65 rounds and a little bit more resources on both the red team and blue team side. So it should keep it pretty spicy for this engagement with Gerry and I. And there's some other things that Gerry and I don't know about. So we'll see what happens in the game. They put some additional spicy things in here. So just talking some initial strategy here for those watching my stream. Basically looking, the kind of the easy route in, do a little OSINT, look for some weak passwords. And then I also want to stock up on my electronic social engineering. I figure Gerry's going to defend pretty well against physical infrastructure attacks or physical attacks. So I didn't want to waste time with that this time around. So go ahead and do a host scan. And then at least in the initial strategy here is just going to be continuing to spin up my skill set on passwords until I get some assets on screen here to start digging into. And then, really the social engineering is just kind of a back pocket Hail Mary, if you will, if needed. But Gerry's a pretty good defender, so I suspect he'll have a lot of things pretty early on, assuming pretty early he'll also get segmentation on the network. So like I said, it should be a really, really good match today for everybody. All right. So for those that are kind of newer to the cyber world, just doing some port scanning on these to uh, see what they are. Is it maybe a Windows machine? Is it a Linux machine? And then next step here is obviously going to be service enumeration in my next turn to really dig into what's running on these things. From there, go into identifying vulnerabilities, but initially I'm going to try to just crack some passwords if I can, and do password attacks if I can, and gain access. Ideally, if there's a firewall router or a switch, I can grab one of those and pivot from there. I'm not gonna be too concerned about workstations unless it's the engineering one or the laptops. I'm not going to worry about those either. So I've got a pretty good strategy. I'm not going to obviously give all of it away on here just in case, there's anyone watching that's saying go Gerry. So, but pretty straightforward stuff that you would do in the real world. So just going to enumerate these boxes as well, just to see what they are. And every so often you'll see me coming back in here and popping up either my passwords or the social engineering just to build up the skill set a little bit. And just want to make sure Clint and Simon can see those as they're commentating of everything I'm doing. All right, cool. So for those that don't know, the reason I'm doing the fuzzing is to trying to find some non-public vulnerabilities on any of these. Initially, I'm trying a password attack here on the gateway firewall. But if that doesn't work for some reason, then, which it did, it looks like. But if that hadn't have worked for some reason, then I want to make sure I have a backup. So these little laptops, I'm not worried about these remote devices at all, at least for my strategy. So just moving those out of my way. Again, trying another password attack. Fuzzing's not complete yet, so I just got to wait one more turn on that to see what else. But sometimes you can grab these routers with the password attack as well. Now, another thing that's cool with this game is as you attack different assets on the blue team's network, it does affect their P&L a little bit, especially the more assets you compromise. And also when they have to do IR, it's going to make them pause on whatever their strategy was to deal with that infected machine. So, or that compromised machine. So that's kind of one of the main things here for Gerry. So I don't think he hasn't segmented yet. It looks still pretty flat. I suspect he'll probably do that between turns 10 and 20. He'll segment the network. So I'm trying to move as fast as I can to get in and wreak havoc where I can. All right, so you see I've got some vulnerabilities here through the fuzzing. And so, well, that's just on that. So he actually he's probably patched something here. Okay, so I failed on that, but let's see what we got going on here. So I'm going to research the heap overflow first before I try to do anything else there. And then I'm just going to search for some more public vulnerabilities. And then since I've got a little bit of assets left, I'll just go back and kick up my electronic social engineering just a little bit. I don't really need to do it anymore throughout the game. So just a little waiting game as Gerry goes, and we'll see what he's been doing. Again, the key with the strategy that I'm using is speed to try to get as much as you can before he segments and try to get into stuff and get a good view of the assets he has. Let's see here. So again, I'm still not worried about that stuff. I mean, I've got a router here, so I'm not worried about that. I'm still low on assets, so I've got to wait until those come through. So I actually just need to wait another turn here, unfortunately. So we'll see how that pans out in the long run. Now you may be asking yourself, okay, well, why is he ignoring these laptops over here? Why is he ignoring the remote users? Reason I don't care about them right now is I've got access to this router. Gerry's probably patching something, is my guess. Yeah, he's probably patched that firewall. He got me. All right, well, we'll do another host scan, and I guess I'm going to have to start going through one of these laptops. So we'll see how we do here. Yeah, so good incident response Gerry did there. Take that asset offline. So let's see what we got going on here. Okay, I don't think my password attack, yeah, that failed. We'll see. He's probably hardened that one, but we'll see if he hasn't yet. Okay, good. So he hadn't hardened that against password attacks. So we'll try a password attack on this router again, see if that works. Going through, and I may not have enough to. Oh, good, perfect. One left, perfect. But we'll see. He's probably got some other things he's hardening right now. I don't know if Gerry's done a vulnerability scan. Obviously, I can't see his side. It's possible he might have already done that, and he's starting to patch things up. So I definitely want to keep moving quickly through here. And I have another thing I'm going to do here in a bit once I get some resources back. But we'll see how we do. All right, so that password attack failed on that and on this device as well. So let me throw a Hail Mary early here just to see if I can grab something outside of what I've got here. Maybe I can get a little further into his network. You also notice that I'm still doing the research on the heap overflow, so that's why I didn't attack the router again. But once that happens, I'll run the spear phishing for, I'll probably let it run a couple, maybe not the full 3, but I'll probably let it just go to the full 3. Again, the goal with that is just to try to get something a little deeper in the network that he maybe is not thinking about securing too much. Yeah, these laptops are kind of something I'm not concerned about too much right now. So The other thing I'm going to do here for those watching my stream, I'm just going to do a little more fuzzing. See if there's anything else out there that I can find while I'm waiting for the spear phishing campaign to end. So I'm assuming that he has not done security awareness training yet, or at least that's what I'm hoping, which will have an impact on the success of my spear phishing. But I did build up my skills on that. So I'm hoping that that's enough to thwart anything he's done. And I can at least get one machine through that. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So one more turn on that. It looks like he's done IR on that firewall again and cleaned up those issues there. So I'm just going to skip this turn, let it run through and get my resources back and see what happens with the spear phishing campaign. If that doesn't work for some reason, then I'll just continue pivoting and firing away at these laptops that I originally didn't want to worry about. And I'm definitely going to attack his firewall again because I see it's still got some vulnerabilities. And I'm really hoping that Gerry's not watching my stream too and finding out what I'm doing to him. All right, so he's obviously done his security awareness training and two-factor authentication and everything, so that's why that one failed there. So let me go back to attacking this thing. All right, we'll research that. So CSRF is going to be a little easier than some of these other ones. So we'll see if we can research that and then do that attack in just a little bit here. Do have a 0-day on that laptop. Let me look at some of these other ones. So it looks like this one has heap overflow. Go ahead and research again. I may attack this one as well, just to see. I may actually attack that instead of the Ashley one. All right, so not much I can do. I don't have any resources right now, so just got to skip this turn to get those back and see the results. Well, not see the results, but get my resources back so I can actually do an attack. So I'm going to go ahead and try to grab this gateway firewall again and pivot from there. I suspect he'll continue taking that offline and cleaning it up, but we'll see. Okay, cool. So I've got that again. I'll go ahead and quickly pivot, and we'll do the heap overflow on this one. Try to take this as well, and then I can pivot from there. So again, I'm relying on him not necessarily being able to get IR in place quickly as I work through that. And poor Clint and Simon, because I keep forgetting to click the action log so they can see and comment on what I'm doing. All right, so this looks a lot better now. So I'm just going to see if I can grab password attack on that other server or not. Oh. All right, so that was successful. I also want to see if I can grab this one while I'm at it with a simple password attack. And then now, for those watching, just going to start figuring out what are these other devices that I've come across here. See if I can find any good stuff in here. All right, so that password attack probably failed. Yeah, which is fine. That happens. Let's see. Just enumerate these real quick and then see what these other ones are. Okay, I mean, things like the file server I don't really care about. Let's go ahead and enumerate these real quick. And then the other thing I want to do for those watching is I just want to, well, it's only a password attack. I do need to do some fuzzing just to see if there's any actual vulnerabilities I can exploit on that. And since I got one resource left, let's go ahead and just see if there's any public vulns. Now, these workstations are interesting because they could just be workstations or they could actually be part of the ICS network. And there's really no way to tell until you get on them. But for now, I'm going to keep with my strategy of going through the network devices and see what I can find. All right, yeah, I don't care about the email server. I don't care about the SIM. I'm not going through to try to take out his SIM server on this. So let's see here. Got one more round on the fuzzing, but let's see. Still just a password attack there. I could go after his domain. Let's see what attacks are available. Unfortunately, I don't have enough resources for an attack. But what this could do, I'm going to go ahead and, in fact, I'm going to just do a password attack, see if I can grab it. So the strategy behind that is I want to try to take that offline. That'll knock down his stuff a little bit for me, and maybe slow Gerry down a little bit on whatever plot he has to thwart my efforts. So we'll see what happens here. So I'm really just waiting for that fuzzing. I want to find out if there's any vulnerabilities I can use to grab another firewall here and pivot from there. So we'll see. So I don't know if Gerry might have had an issue with got kicked out of the game or something because it looks like he just joined again. So there might be some technical issues. So yeah, password attack failed. Again, not too worried about that. But this is really what I wanted to see is if there was any vulns I can do on this server. So it looks like keep overflow. And I probably got a good chance here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, see if I can take out this firewall here and get that going. Yeah, I just don't have enough resources for these other ones. So that'll be the only thing I do on this turn then. It looks like Gerry got kicked out of the game again. In any event, he did some IR, so he was able to get me out. Oh, did my... Okay. So yeah, he might have cleaned that up. So I think Gerry's dealing with some technical issues. I'm going to be the mean guy and keep fighting against his systems here. I usually have pretty good success with Stack Overflow. So while he's still kind of getting back in the game, I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. And just since I've got some resources left, I'll just go ahead and... Okay. Looks like Gerry's having some issues. I'm going to go ahead and just pause the game for now until we get any issues worked out. That way Gerry can get things sorted here. All right, so we're in a slight doing some DOS attack to Gerry. Yeah, unfortunately, no. Gerry, I wouldn't do that to Gerry. Not sure what the issue is on his side. He's hardwired in, just like I am. Nobody's using Wi-Fi for this, so not sure. But we'll see if we can get it worked out. If not, we may restart the game or possibly reschedule. But we'll see. We'll see. Chat's kind of going on the other end here. Okay, looks like we may be restarting the game. So we'll see here. So good. I mean, good run so far, right? Now Gerry knows. Let's see. Just kind of seeing it. I'm just kind of monitoring a different chat that has stuff going on, but I know the team's working on it, and so we'll see. The joys of live, right? The joys of live. Recordings, you could chop out stuff, you could restart and all that stuff. The joys of live streaming, but good game so far. I'll just comment on, I don't know exactly what Gerry's been doing. I do know he's done some incident response because he's been able to get some assets back. He's got a really good response. Whatever he's doing on the other side of things that I can't see, he's got a good response going on over there. Again, the strategy I'm using right now is really about speed and just constantly beating on the doors and until you find an open door, and then getting in there, getting stuff quickly. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if we need to restart or not. I think that's still being determined. Team's still working on stuff, but we'll see how we do. Keep everyone posted. But yeah, Gerry's like I said, I think he's been doing some good IR. I think that's a key thing if you're going to play this game and be on the defensive side. I think you definitely need to make sure your incident response game is on point, and it's gonna help with a lot of things. It's not going to stop a relentless, brutal attack, but we'll see how things go. Again, if we need to restart this, cool, or if we're able to continue, we'll see. That's still up in the air. Another good thing that Gerry did is it seemed like he's already got two-factor in security awareness training on early, where when I came with that spear phishing attack, it failed. So it's possible that later in the game it might work again. The spear phishing might work to pop a box, but usually at that point it's usually just something like either a perimeter device or just a workstation, and that and usually you're too late in the game for that point. So we'll see So we're still kind of determining what we might do. Since we're live streaming, it's a little challenging to do some of the things that we might need to be able to do to get this going again on the current game. All right, for those joining in, all right, so I see a question in chat. Let's go ahead and answer some of the chat questions. I only see the one actually, but can someone give me a general explanation about this game? So the game itself is really designed to help you learn, and it's kind of like a tabletop exercise, if you will, if you've never gone through one of those, Alexis. But basically, red versus blue, you can, if you play against somebody else, you can pick a team or whatever, and you can also pick a team to play against the AI. So you can pretend to be the blue team if you want to, and you'll be responsible basically for defending the network against all the attacks. So there's kind of a best practices, if you will, that a lot of good blue teamers will do. And if you watch all these streams that have gone on this week, you'll see a good amount of those best practices. So that'll give you some insight. On the flip side, on the red team, your entire goal is to try to compromise, since this is critical infrastructure we're dealing with in this particular game, the entire goal, or the main goal at least, is to try to compromise a PLC and basically compromise the ICS network. So that way you shut down the plant or manufacturing facility or what have you. So that's kind of the gist of the game. You're really just experiencing it versus like a video course where somebody, the instructor might say, oh, do this or that. It's not really tangible, right? Until you like put your hands on stuff. And this game allows you to put your hands on things and see how things work and learn really the constraints of having a budget and having to stay within that budget. And I mean, the other day when I played, I think it was when I played Eric. It was either Eric or Matt Lee, but I waited to segment the network because I ran out of budget. So it's a good game because it's as realistic as it can be to really help you understand limitations and what you can and can't do, or what you should and shouldn't do, and really helps you prioritize things. For example, as a blue teamer, you really wouldn't want to spend all your time and money, working on the mail server. Like that's not a high priority item, right? So you want to focus on firewalls, your router switches, of course, your ICS network parts. So I think we're going to try. I think Gerry's going to try some restarting stuff on his end. So we'll see. We're probably going to have to hop out of this game, is my guess from what I'm seeing. We'll check it out. But yeah, it's a good game. You can actually find it on Steam, Alexis. I think it's on discount right now too on Steam.com, and you can play. I think the game on Steam is the same version as you're seeing. Well, this one for today's match is a little adjusted compared to what's out there standard. But I think you get pretty much all the features of like the professional level game that like an enterprise would be using. So it's a really good learning tool. I think as you're studying different topics in cyber, this is a really good tool to actually come like practice what you're learning. And it's, I mean, overall, it's just a fun game. Like especially if like if you choose blue team, for example, and the AI gets you or something as a red teamer, like you're like, let me go get him back, type of thing. So it's just a fun game to play. I actually, prior to the tournament hadn't played it in, I think it's been a couple of years since like one of the early versions of it, but it's like looking really, really cool. Like I'm so excited with what Clint, Aaron, and the rest of the team have done with this game since I had first seen the very first version of it. So really cool stuff, really great stuff. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and exit the game here and just wait for Gerry to see if he can get back in. So a little bit of a pause here. Thank you everyone for your patience as we kind of just pause and hang out a little bit. Feel free to throw questions in the chat. I mean, even if it's not related to the game on the CyberLife chat here, you can feel free to throw your questions in there. I'll answer career questions, whatnot, as well for now. So, I do know also that a lot of the universities and community colleges here in the U.S. that I've spoken to are looking at this game and seeing how they can pull it into their program. So just FYI, if you're going to college right now, you might ask your professors about getting this game pulled into the program at some point. It's a nice, in any event, even if it's not baked like into the curriculum, it's a nice supplemental game for you to play, especially later in most of the programs out there. So definitely something to explore, and it's um, so I mean, so you got Alexis. Looks like you got a free license to Udemy's business suite. So I think there's a lot of good courses actually on Udemy. Anything from Heath Adams will be good for the pen testing side to give you an understanding. Nathan House, who owns StationX.net, and you can go over there as well. They've got a good bundle over there, but he's got some good courses that just kind of walk you through a lot of like high level, well, not high level things because they're pretty long courses, but um, he's got some good courses if all this is totally brand new to you, Alexis. He's got some good courses on general cybersecurity. There's also you put me on the spot. I can't think of everybody's names. Dave Bombal has some good courses around like especially networking, right? GNS using GNS3, Wireshark. I think he's got a good course around packet captures and looking for attacks, but that could be somebody else I'm thinking of. And then Zed Sabi has some good pen testing courses. I'm trying to think. There's other ones on there. I think Jason Dion. I think his stuff is mostly cert based, but he's probably got some good stuff on there. Mike Myers as well. So cool. It looks like we're going to get back into things here in just a little bit here. And so we'll be restarting the game. So we'll see if Gerry changes his strategy at all for this next version of it. All right, cool. Let me hop in here real quick. And we will get going again. All right, so fingers crossed that we'll be able to knock this one out without any issues. Hopefully we'll have the issues resolved. But for those watching mine, I'm just kind of hanging out, waiting on Gerry to do his thing. All right, cool. Let's get rocking and rolling again on this stuff. And for those that love the the music that comes with this game. If you played it before, apologies, but I'm not going to play the music just because it blasts your eardrums, and getting up there in age. So, all right. So you notice that we've changed things back, reverted back to what we've had for prior games. So you notice 50 turns. And let me click that out for Simon and Clint. You notice 50 turns and then just the 5 resources for red team. So this will be very similar to previous matches. So we'll see what happens here. And if you guys and gals notice me like glancing down, unfortunately, there's no cheat codes. I just got my phone with the other chat just in case I need that for anything. So you see here, I've still got to wait on the OSINT. I'm just going to go ahead, similar to what I did previously, of just kicking up my electronic SE just in case I want to throw that Hail Mary, if I can speak, just in case I want to throw that later on in the game. So just going to go ahead and do a little more research here so my password attacks will be a little more successful as I roll through those, still waiting on that OSINT. And so I should get all that here momentarily in the next turn. All right, cool. So I got all my research done, at least for now. So now it's just go back to host scan, and then I'm going to go ahead and do one more thing of research on the electronic social engineering for now. Let's see. Oh, that one's still going. That's why I don't see it. So I'll just do weak passwords for now, and we'll go with that. All right. Technical issues make it more exciting, right? Like who will win? It looked like Gerry was going to thwart a lot of my attacks on the last one, but I think it's really going to be anyone's game at this point. So I'm going to throw one more electronic SE in there again, just to get my skill set up on that a little bit early on in the game, and then do those port scans. Next step, of course, is enumeration of these devices. See what I got there. I'm hoping one's a firewall again. That'll make life a lot easier. All right, so it looks like I've got a network device here. Go ahead and enumerate that. That's probably going to be that gateway firewall like it normally is. And I've only got one resource left. I'm going to wait till I know what those are. Then I'll do the vulnerability scanning on those devices, because it doesn't really make any sense to do a public vulnerability check now till I've actually see what services are running. So with the 50 rounds, it actually does make this pretty exciting, because I know when Eric and I played, like it was down to the wire on getting in and getting stuff. So we'll see how things pan out here for Gerry. All right, so got my enumeration complete. So here's the firewall. This might be, I don't know what facility we've got here, but this might be the manufacturing one. So I'm going to go ahead and try a password attack initially, and then I'm also going to go ahead and just fuzz, partly because I just love the word fuzzing, but also because it's something I legitimately need to do. So fuzzing, password attack, and hopefully I'm going slow enough for Simon and Clint to comment on that. Again, goal here is just really pivoting through, right? Doing what's called lateral movement for those that are totally brand new. Just finding things that I can pivot from, compromising devices, moving my way through. So password attack failed, as you can see, and I'll show you the action log there so you can see it yourself. So for now, I don't have any, I could do, in fact, I'll try another password attack just to see what happens here. Sometimes you can get it lucky on the second try, but it's possible. It's still a little early, but Gerry might have already put two-factor and security awareness in place if he didn't do anything physical, if he didn't think I was coming in the physical perimeter. So we'll see what happens here, but fuzzing will be complete the next turn, so we'll be able to find some things to use regardless. All right, cool. So I found some vulnerabilities, through the fuzzing. My guess is a password attack failed again, as we see here. So he's got something in place, but that's okay because we have other things we can do. So it looks like a 0 day there. So we're just going to do the research on that. Now, for those that are new to the game, the reason we do the research, we want to build up our skill on that particular thing first, because if I just try it now, it may not work. So the more skill I have in that, the more likely it is that it's going to work. I'm going to do the same thing. Normally, I don't want to worry about those laptops, but I'm going to do the same thing here. And since command injection is pretty easy to attack, should be pretty easy to be successful at, I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. And just go ahead and see what happens with those. So those are going to take a couple of turns here. So I'm going to have to roll through on the next turn and just let it run. And then we'll see where we are, and I'll go ahead and do an attack. And I'm going to focus my attack on the firewall first. If I can get that network device, and that will probably open up a router or switch for me, and I can go ahead and pivot from there. You also notice my skills, right? So again, the social engineering, I've got that up a little bit here. And based on my research I've done on the weak password and stuff, I've got my skill set built up on that. So I've got to skip this turn here just because I need to just get that research done, as you notice here. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip this turn and get the research done. All right, cool. So now let's just go ahead and attack this bad boy and see what happens. Now, some people might be saying, well, why didn't you try to get other hackers, right? Recruit other hackers for those that have played the game. Well, it's a little early on. I need to build up some street cred. And one of the ways I found you can actually, it seems to work at least, is you compromise a couple of assets and then you're able to get that street cred. So you see, I failed on that initial attack on the firewall. So he might have hardened that already. I'm going to go ahead and research this one more time here and just see. And I'm going to try a password attack on this device. See if I can grab that laptop as maybe a different way in this time around. So I suspect a couple of things early from Gerry. I suspect of pretty early on he's going to do network segmentation. I suspect he's already done his policies, which then he's already done his security awareness and two-factor. He might have installed surveillance cameras, which would have thwarted some of the physical stuff had I tried that route in. I just didn't want to get late in the game having done that and then find that he had a pretty solid defense against that. So I wanted to take the more traditional route here. And this technique I'm going after is fully invented by a guy named Greg, a very smart guy. And I'm using it. Hopefully he's not screaming at the screen right now. Hopefully I'm using it correctly. But we'll see how we do here throughout the game. Being persistent is a key. I can tell you from real life pen test, being persistent is a key to doing things. And so it looks like attacks on the firewall failed, password attack failed as well. Actually, I didn't attack that again. I'm researching again. I'm going to go ahead and just research. Well, let me see if there's any public vulns just to be on the safe side. But I'm going to go ahead and research on Deb again. And I'm going to go for the 0 day because command injection, while it is easier, it just may not work. I don't know if Gerry's done some hardening on that device or not. So we'll see. We'll see what we have here. So these will take a couple of turns to run through here. I want to see the energy overflow. And once I get that, I won't have enough for an attack. So I'm actually going to have to wait. Unfortunately, I shouldn't have done that. So I'm going to have to wait a little bit. So I may do some more research on my password stuff just to boost that skill up a little more. I think I'm pretty good on that though. So I probably won't do that. Yeah, I'll probably just boost up my electronic SE a little bit more. And I may try to do also, for those watching, I may try to do a spear phishing this early just to see if there's anything I can grab this early on. So I just want to see what else I found here. So yeah, so I'll try, once that's done with the heap overflow, I'll try that one on the laptop possibly. And this one's still just finding that 0 day. So once that is complete, which that one is. I just don't have enough money for enough resources for the attack yet. So I've got to skip this turn, unfortunately, and then I'll be able to do another attack on the firewall there. So some of the challenges, right? So that's why I like this game. It's challenges of real life. Because let's just say that the red team consists of like Clint and I or something, and one of us is attacking a certain way, another one's attacking a certain way. Like we can't attack a third way, right? Necessarily because we don't have the resources. So definitely good simulation on that. So one thing I don't know is I don't know if Gerry's done a vulnerability scan on his side. So that'd be interesting to know. I suspect he probably has, or he will be doing that shortly. I don't know that he segmented the network though, which I don't know yet. I don't think he has. So we'll see. He might be waiting. He might have already done it. Since I don't have that device compromised yet, I just don't know for sure. So now I have my resources. I'm going to shoot again for this 0 days, see if I can grab that off there. Again, 0 days are probably a little harder to do in this game, but I'm hoping that I get a lucky strike here. If for some reason I don't, I'm going to go ahead and just kick off a spear phishing and see if I can grab that and also try to grab that laptop. So we'll see what happens there. All right, cool. So I did get that asset. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to see if I can do a password attack on this one, on this router, just to see. But I'm also going to go ahead and fuzz just so I can find out what we've got vulnerable on there and prepare for possibly having to do a full attack on it. Now, I was going to do it again. If I hadn't gotten that, I was going to do the social engineering. So Gerry's either hardened that laptop or he's segmented the network, and now that's why I don't see it there. I'm guessing he segmented the network already, and that's probably why I'm not seeing that. So I was actually pretty fortunate to grab that firewall when I did, probably. All right, so I was able to grab that router, which is really, really good. So I've got a few firewalls here. Obviously, right now I don't have any pivots to them. I can try a password attack. I'll try that just since I've got 3 resources left. I have to wait for the fuzzing to get done. I'm going to go ahead and just try that and see what happens. You never know. Might get lucky on the firewall and have weak credentials. So that's the only move this time around. Next turn, I'll get my resources back and also find out additional vulnerabilities. I would love to grab. I don't have a pivot yet for it. Can't wait to grab the PCS one or even just the DMZ one and then pivot over. But we'll see. We'll see how things go here in getting this server firewall. Fingers crossed that I grab the password attack and get successful on that. For anyone wondering what my coffee mug I keep sipping from has on it, it says Marketing Badass on it. So cool little coffee mug. I got that for a copywriting course I purchased a long time ago. A really good course, by the way. Okay, cool. So I was able to grab that with a password attack. So that is looking good. There's some vulnerabilities on these other ones. Again, don't have a pivot yet for that. But I do have this beauty right here. So I'm going to see if, I don't know why I've got a random pop-up there in the middle of the game. But anyways, I'll do a password attack here. And I'm also going to go ahead and do some more fuzzing just to see if I find anything else while I'm doing that. So I really want to start opening up these routers and servers to see what else is in there. Or switches, I mean. So Gerry did some IR. Let's see what he got from me. So he got that the main firewall. Okay, so he hasn't hit that one yet. So I've still got a little bit of time here. Password attack failed. I've still got to kind of wait on my fuzzing. I'm going to see if I can grab this DMZ firewall before he figures out what I'm doing. So fingers crossed, we'll see if we can grab a password attack on that as well. And I'll get my resources back here in a second after the fuzzing's done. And we'll just keep going on the network devices. I'm not worried about the laptop. I'm just going to move that out the way right now. The other reason I like to get his network devices is it costs him money, right? So he's got to go through and do different things that'll eat up his budget. I don't know where his budget's at right now, but the more I can eat up his budget, the better off I'll be a little later on. Assuming, of course, he doesn't get any more budget. All right, so he's disconnected that server firewall. So that's what that blue is showing everybody. Password attack failed on the DMZ firewall. And so let's see, I can do that one. So he's starting to take away my pivots. I'm going to do this one here, and we'll see what else we can grab on there as far as vulnerabilities. Now, I may throw a curveball. I don't have enough resources. There's a curveball I'm going to throw at Gerry here in a bit, assuming I can't get any of these assets, just to keep him busy on something else for a little bit. So my goal is to try to compromise some of these assets, just like I did before he realizes they're compromised and pulls them offline. So now I'm going to go ahead, even though I've got the fuzzing still rocking and rolling there, I'm going to go ahead and get my port scan so I can figure out what these things are. And in the hopes that I can go ahead and get one compromised before he realizes that I've compromised that and pulls that offline, because I want to keep my pivot points. So we'll see how we do. The thing I was planning to do a second ago, again, that was only if I didn't compromise that one. So I like to keep Gerry busy. It's a similar approach I use with Eric, trying to keep him busy. And when I was on the blue team side, I wanted to keep him busy on the red team and really just keep wasting his resources on things. Eric was phenomenal, by the way, and Gerry's doing really good as well. So it's it'll be interesting next 30 rounds, just next 30 turns to see what happens on this one. And earlier in the week, I think it was Monday when I played Matt. So he got that cleaned up. So I've still got that one, thankfully. So I've got a Linux server here. I've got a Linux computer. I'm going to go ahead at this point and just see if I can grab some more hackers to help me out here just before I get too late in the game. We'll see what happens, because getting a couple more resources would definitely help me out in being able to move a little faster here. So we'll see how we do. So the way the game also works, and again, granted, I'm not the expert on the game by any means, but each time Gerry does good incident response, you notice how he pulled devices off, cleaned them, or replaced them. Probably did forensics to build up his threat intel and then put him back online again. Each time he does that, he gets a little higher, number one threat intel, but also I believe it also helps his P&L, so profit and loss. For those that don't know, one tactic he could possibly use is try to keep compromising his devices to force a P&L down, but that hit and miss if it works. It works better against the AI than it does. So Splunk server is worthless to me. I don't care about that. Domain controller, I could keep him busy on that. I'm going to see if I can grab one of his firewalls again. I'm still waiting on hackers. I got a few more turns for that. Let me just see. Maybe he hasn't hardened credentials. Maybe I've got a shot on that. So I'm just going to see if that works on this time around. Reason I don't want to do like a spear phishing right now is I don't want to tie up resources with both the hackers and spear phishing right now. So I want to get a little closer. Password attack fails, of course I'll fuzz and I may try a spear phishing to see if I can get something else. But yeah, spear phishing, maybe might just get a workstation or something. So we'll see how we do. All right, so I was able to get that firewall again, which tisk Gerry, on that. But I was able to get that again. So let me try to get this one right here, and I think I've got one more turn on the hackers. Yeah. So again, those compromises should have built up street cred a little bit. We'll see how that goes with with recruiting the hackers. A little late in the game to try to recruit in later rounds. So now is kind of the optimal time, at least in my mind, to do it. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. All right, so password attack failed on that, as you see, and also my recruiting hackers failed, so I didn't get those resources. Unfortunate, but I think the game was altered to make it a little more challenging. Incorrect access control. I don't think I'll get that one on that. I'm going to do a little fuzzing just to see what else I have available out here, as well as public vulns. So good game so far. I can tell Gerry's got a pretty solid defense in place already, which I expected. So we'll see how we do here. So I've got one more round. I've got to wait to let my research and fuzzing get done. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip right on this one here. What I don't know is I don't know if he's identified these assets being compromised yet, and if he's going to be pulling those offline soon. So I want to make sure that I move quickly to try to compromise something else and get a better foothold. So you notice Gerry did clean up the server firewall, so he's regained that. So I do want to move pretty quick, and he's taking away my pivot. So I'm actually going to cause a little chaos in his life, or hopefully at least, right? And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And likewise, I'm going to research an attack on his domain controller here and see if I can take that down once I have the resources to do so, just to occupy his time with something else. So we'll see. We'll see how the spear phishing attack goes. Got a few turns on that, so a little risky move on that, taking a little different approach on the strategy for that particular thing, but I want to see if I can get a lucky pop on something and move forward from there. And I'm probably going to go after this router as well once I get some resources back. All right, so you see I still got to wait for some of the research to complete as well as my spear phishing attack. So for now, just clicking through. And I'll have to click through one more time. All right, so I've got one more term before I can see how the spear phishing attack did. And yeah, I can't research that one, but let me just see if there's anything else I can kick up my skills on here. And I don't have pivots to these ones. So I'll do, that's probably high enough on that. So I'll go ahead. I'm just going to use that just as a precautionary, just in case I need to attack that main firewall again, just to get some research on that. I am curious to see how the spear phishing did. I suspect he had security awareness training in place already and two-factor, but you never know. Against Matt, I threw a spear phishing near the end there, and that gave the Hail Mary to the ICS. So we'll see how we do. All right, so spear phishing failed. You can see by nothing changing, and then you'll see there the attack failed. So it was definitely worth a shot on that. I'm going to try a password attack on this router just to use that because I have to wait one more turn for my research to stop before I can actually do something more than a password attack. So okay, so password attack failed, which is totally fine. And I think Gerry's doing some IR right now, probably. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can just grab this router and use that to pivot throughout things. All right, so I was able to get that router, thankfully. So that's good. So let me see if there's anything else I can... no research on that. Still no pivot there. Let's see what we got here. I suspect he's got two-factor on the DC, knowing Gerry. He's already got this stuff in place. So let's see if we can grab a command injection. I'll just do a little research on that just to see if maybe we've got that option. I still want to take out his DC, but I'm more interested in seeing if I can pivot to something else based on this router. And when in doubt, I'll keep attacking the firewalls for the rest of the game. So we'll see what happens. Now, the strategy I'm using, actually, Gerry used that. I think it was yesterday he played Stacy. He used a similar strategy. Actually, he used the same strategy with a few Gerry variations on it. But the overall strategy is the same. You try to move through with passwords and basically brute force your way through things. If that doesn't work, then try to do some standard attacks on things and just keep working your way through, keep recompromising assets. And I think at this point it's still anyone's game. I don't have visibility into what Gerry's doing, but I don't suspect there's a ton of things he's doing. Let's see. Okay, I did that, but it didn't. So there's nothing off that then. Okay. Still no pivot there. All right. I really wish I had a pivoter ready to one of these, but I don't. But the server firewall can get me there. So let's see if we can just go ahead and attack this thing. And I don't have enough resources. Bummer. So I'm going to have to wait one more turn. It's kind of a bummer. Let me just do a little more fuzzing, see if there's anything else discovered while I'm waiting on that. So I will have one. I did kill myself there. I've got one more turn I have to go through for the fuzzing. So I actually just killed my idea there, but it's okay. You live and learn. I wanted to attack this server the next turn, but I've got to wait one more on that. All right, so I've got the one more turn before I can actually have enough resources for an attack. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip for now. And then I'm going to go back onto that firewall, see if I can compromise that again. I have a suspicion that Gerry's patching things like crazy on his end of the stream. And my guess is he's probably got endpoint detection on things, but if that's the case, I'm curious why he hasn't tried to pull off one of these pivot points yet from me. So he may not have EDR and everything. All right, so now I've got my stuff back, so I'm just going to go ahead and go after this one. Oh, so he did get this one back. So if you notice there, he was able to get that one back. So he's patched that one. So I still got that pivot point there. I'm just going to go ahead and try to grab this firewall again, get it again here and use that as a pivot point. Again, I really want to get to these firewalls because then once I get to PCS firewall, then I'm basically going to own him. So we'll see how things go. All right, so it looks like I've grabbed that firewall again, which is really, really good. So I'm going to go ahead and just do my host scan here. And then I'm going to go ahead and start my fuzzing again, just because by the time I find things in the host scan, it should pull through for the others. And do a little more research. I still want to take out his domain controller. It's got a command injection. That should be pretty easy to do, I would imagine, in the game. So maybe if I just kick up that skill a little more, I'll be able to get that domain controller. That would be nice to do on his IT network. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. All right, so all sorts of goodies here. So the research is still going right now, as well as the fuzzing. So I've only got one option here, and I'll just pick this random one to do a port scan on. But I'll get my resources back the next time around, so be able to do the rest of them. I'm hoping that something here is the engineering workstation. So fingers crossed, but I don't know that that'll be the case. All right, so I do also have a pivot back to that and that firewall. Yeah, still not that one though. I'm going to see if I can compromise the DMZ one as well, but I want to find out what these assets are first, and then I'll go after that. And in fact, while I'm waiting on Gerry, let me see what else we got here. So I'm pretty strong on heap overflow, but may try that 0-day. All right, so fuzzing failed, which is interesting. Well, not interesting. I actually did it too soon in hindsight. But that's fine. Let's go ahead and do some scanning here. And we'll get most of these. So just some port scanning and some service enumeration on the one. That's a Windows machine. Just want to identify what I have here, if it's anything valuable or if it's just some random things. And then this last one here I'll need to do in a minute. All right, so that's a network device. So I want to see what that is. Oh, did I lose? Oh, okay, that's why. So you see here, Gerry's doing incident response. So he's taking off that server firewall that compromised. So that takes away my pivot to this particular device, as you see there. But let's see what else we got here. Maybe we got a Hail Mary. So these couple of things are interesting because they're probably, oh, so he got all of the, yeah, okay. That makes sense. And I've lost pivot to all those. So let me go ahead and keep him occupied elsewhere. Let's see if I can get that domain controller or not. Okay, that failed right away. That's not it's never a good sign. Okay. So Gerry's got me in a little bit of a pickle while he's doing that. While he's occupied, let me try another spear phishing attack and just see what happens with that. I don't really have anything I can use at this point. All these things are off. I can try a password attack on the main firewall, but I already know that's not going to work. I am curious what I have there, though. In fact, instead of that, let me see if I can grab that again. I really need to establish a foothold again, and I don't really have one going on here. So, all right. So that attack failed on the main firewall, as you see there. So we're getting close to the end here. So I'm going to just go ahead and focus on Hail Marys. At this point, it's too late to try to go in physically, and he's probably got defenses against that already. So I'm going to go ahead and try another spear phishing attack, see if I can grab maybe one of these down here or something else to get that foothold in. And that's out of the question. So really the main firewall, and there's only those couple of vulnerabilities. I'm going to go ahead and research Stack Overflow as well, just to use that resource up and see if I might be able to grab that near the end and make a pivot. But it's going to be an interesting run here. All right, so since I've got some stuff going on, I've got to wait since I have this spear phishing and the Stack Overflow research going on. So just got to go ahead and end this turn quickly. So getting down to the wire, we'll see what happens. What you also notice is he took away my pivot, right? So I'm basically back where I started at earlier with the main firewall. So I've essentially, it's like I hadn't done anything. So Gerry's got really good IR going on there. So good job. So again, the spear phishing is really kind of the Hail Mary, right? So we'll see what happens there. So one more turn on that. I've got to go. It's too late, honestly, to recruit hackers, even worry about that. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's also too late to go in and do anything as far as physical disruption. So we'll focus on spear phishing and attacking that firewall, and we'll go from there. So based on Gerry's incident response, and I'm assuming he's done forensics on each of those devices, which kicked up his stuff. So I got the spear phishing. I've got some devices here. There's a network device. Well, let's see what I've got actually. Oh, all I got was a laptop. Oh, bummer. Haha, bummer. So all I got was a laptop. It's kind of pointless to even worry about that laptop at this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and fire another spear phishing attack and see if I can get something better, because it's pointless to come into that laptop and try to get anything. But I do have that router. Let's see what else I've got access to though. So maybe I won't do that yet. Let's see what we can do with some of these others. Oh crap, my bad. Ran out of time. Rookie mistake. So it's all good. So we'll see. We'll see how we do. I think this one's going to be down to the wire, but I have a suspicion on what's going to happen as the outcome. But so I can get the server firewall again, which is good. I've got to pivot to that. So I'm gonna focus my efforts on that. Those last few turns here. See if I can grab that. Let's see what we have. Okay, outdated firmware. See if I can grab that from Gerry and rock and roll through the rest of it. So we'll see. It may not be enough turns left to go through and get the DMZ and to the PCS, but we'll see how we do. All right, so it looks like I got that. So let's go ahead and do a host scan, see if there's anything else here. Yeah, so there's a network device, and I've got that. So let me just see what that is. Windows server, that could be, we'll see what that is. That could just be mail server. But let's see. We'll see what some of these devices are that I've got. Getting down to the wire here, so we'll see what happens. So just doing some enumeration, some basic port scanning, and then doing a scan. So it looks like that compromised laptop, Gerry's pulled that off, probably did some IR on that. Okay. I don't care about the wireless. I wonder if I can compromise that pretty quickly. You're getting down to the wire, though. But I wonder if I can compromise that. I don't have enough assets yet for that. I'm just going to do public vulns, see if there's anything else out there I haven't found yet. So we'll see how we do here. All right, so only a few turns left. Let's see if we have anything good here. User workstations. And password attack failed on that, which I'm not too shocked on. Ooh. Might not be enough time to grab that. I do want to find out what these other things are, though. So I'm going to go ahead and leverage that. And only have a few turns left, so I don't have enough for spear phishing or anything like that. Just go ahead and do fuzzing. I may have enough left for like the very last turn to do an attack or something. We'll see. But pretty sure I already know the outcome of this one based on where we are turn-wise. Would have been nice to have the 65 turns like we had started with, but we just roll with what we got. All right, so a couple Linux devices could be something interesting. No pivot there. Oh, looks like Gerry got that server back. So, yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't have enough turns left to really do much, so I'm pretty sure he's got this one in the bag, unfortunately. I just don't have the time to pivot to anything else. And I don't think I have any other pivots here. So, yeah. It's a long shot, but I'll see if I can just grab that firewall. Fingers crossed that the game gods are with me for that. We'll see what happens. Kind of a Hail Mary. If I can grab that DMZ firewall, I might be able to get to the PCS firewall and then pivot from there on the last turn or so. So we'll see. Kind of a shot in the dark. There's that laptop. Not worried about that. I'm really curious if any of these workstations are actually part of the ICS. I don't think they are. I did want to get that terminal server if I could. And yeah, that attack failed, unfortunately, on the firewall. I did want to try to get that terminal server and knock that off, but let's see if we got anything here I can use. Why not go out with a bang? So we'll just see if we can pull off that same attack on the DMZ firewall that I think I did the same attack earlier. So real good job, Gerry, on the defense this time around. So good job on that. The last game, I was pretty sure I was going to get you since we had 65 rounds. So yeah, this is basically last turn. I mean, just for giggles, I'll just attack something so everyone can see if the attack goes through. Yeah, no pivot there. I'll just run this other attack. Well, yeah, I'll try to compromise it. Just again, going out with a bang. So there you go. Cool. So let me hop out of this, and we will hop over to the after action party. So everyone go over to ThreatGen's YouTube channel.